having good emotional well-being, psychological well-being, and social well-being. Is anybody ready with any different ideas of what a healthy mind is? Kindly let me know before we start. Any ideas of what you think a healthy mind is for you yourself or for your children? Okay, today is a quiet room. Okay, let's continue then. So today's learning objectives, we hope to, by the end of this presentation, we'll hope that would have learned how to describe children's brain development from birth right through adolescence. Also explain why nurturing relationships are the foundation of a healthy brain development. Apply practical strategies that strengthen children's emotional regulation. Identify ways to promote resilience and positive mental health in children. And then lastly, to recognize how parents, educators, and professionals can work together to support every child's development. I can see, yes,
I was just going to say that Jessica Safo just gave what she thinks a healthy mind is. She
great.
says it is mind free from stress.
Exactly. A mind free from stress. And we will learn a bit more about stress. We will learn that we cannot be totally free from stress because stress is part of this world. But there are different kinds of stress, and we have to learn how to manage our stress. And so, knowing how to manage your stress and making sure that your stress is not overcoming you is part of having a healthy mind. Okay, so let's start with understanding um, the brain and how it develops. And you can see on your screen some pictures of the brain. So this is how the brain looks like. It's not colored like this though. If you see a brain in your hand or in the anatomy room, it's not colored like this. But this is to illustrate that we have different parts of the brain and each part has its specific duties. However, even though they are different parts, they all work as a team. They work by talking to each other. They work in unison, even though they all have different parts. So, for example, this yellow yellow part is called the frontal lobe or the frontal part of the brain, and it's responsible for problem solving, creative thinking, your personality. Then this blue part is called the parietal lobe. It's responsible for some parts of your visual functions, for reading, for understanding language, and for doing a few other things. Then the pink part is the temporal lobe. It's responsible for your memories, is also responsible for some parts of language. And then you have the brainstem, the long thing that is going down, and that is for basic life functions. So your breathing, your heart rate, the fact that your heart is beating, and the fact that you can regulate your temperature, that's the part of the brain. So the interesting thing is that the brain develops from the bottom up. So once the baby starts forming in the womb and the brain starts forming, the brain is one of the first things that start forming before the other things form. Because as you can imagine, the center of breathing and your heart rate is in the brain. And so it has to start from there. However, as the brain develops and it gets bigger, we know that experience is what helps to shape and develop the brain. So when a baby is born, they have about quarter the size of what an adult brain should be. However, they have all the different units that make up the brain. They already have it, but the size is quarter, which means that that difference of 75% that makes up to the adult brain is made from connections from the different cells talking to each other and making um let's put it something like roads or making connections between the different cells. That's what makes the brain grow. The brain becomes more complex, it becomes more, functional, and it develops. And what we know from science is that it's experience that helps to shape the developing brain. And when we say experience, we mean the things that the body is actually experiencing through its senses: the sight, the smell, the hearing, the touch, the feeling, the movement, the doing. All these things are part of what is causing the brain to develop. And development, as you can tell, is influenced by both how the brain was structured and formed, which is the biology, but a lot as to the environment and what we call the nurture. So the kind of experience the baby or the toddler or the child has is going to influence how the brain is going to develop. A healthy brain development supports lifelong learning, relationships, and well being. I know that we all want our children to be smart, but apart from being smart, we want our children to grow up and be the best they can be, to be able to have good relationships, to be able to live a good life and enjoy life. Abby, that's what we want for our children. And so let's see from these slides how we can do that. So before I move on, let me go through a few things. So as I've said, from this slide, this is what I want you to take away. The fact is that experiences shape the brain. The brain develops through that network of talking to each other. And it's that experience, that sensory experience, that causes the connections of the brain cells to talk to each other. So young babies need relationships with caregivers to sort of expose them and introduce them to these experiences. And you can imagine that not all experiences are the same, and we are going to learn about it. It is positive brain building experience that will cause the brain to develop and grow. So let's see for the next one what we're going to do. So let's go into details how the brain is built through experience. So as I've said, there are neural pathways that strengthen with each repeated positive experience. So there's a new term I'm using now, positive experience. As I said, it's not all experiences that are the same. So the experience has to be positive. Later on, when we talk about stress, we'll realize that if the stress is too much, if a child experiences too much stress, what we call toxic stress, these networks that you are building to develop the brain can actually be deleted and go down. So too much stress will do the opposite of what we want. But we want positive experiences. That is what strengthens the neural network. And then there's a term we use in neuroscience. We say use it or lose it. Or you hear synaptic pruning or neuroplasticity. All that it means is that as the brain is developing, the connections that are used more often are the ones that grow stronger. If you don't use it, it doesn't get stronger. So, for example, if a baby is born with good eyesight, the eyeball itself is functioning well, and they do not have access to light into their eye to look at things, after some time, even though the eyeball is okay, the eyeball will be blind. They will not be able to see later on because the networks for vision did not get built. Same way we're talking. We know that if you don't learn a language as you're a child, after 10 years, it's even more difficult for you to learn a new language. However, if you expose your children to multiple language in the beginning, even if they have language difficulties, they can pick it up. Once they start talking, they'll be able to pick it all up because their brains are using it, they are learning it, they are getting stronger. Same for things like reading, singing, playing piano, sports. Practice makes perfect. So the more you use it, the more those connections get stronger. But if you do not use it, you will lose it. So those everyday interactions end up shaping the brain architecture. So let's look at the timeline from birth to about 18 years. What is happening in the brain? So at birth, let's say from birth to about 2 years, there's a lot of rapid brain growth. So from birth to about 2 to 3 years, 80% of the brain has grown already. From 0 to 3, 80% has grown. And then from 0 to 5, almost 90% would have developments of the brain would have happened already. You can imagine how critical this part of the brain development is. So from 0 to 2 or 0 to 3, there's a lot of rapid brain growth. Over 1 million new neural connections. So neural connections are what I said, the brain units talking to each other. 1 million neural connections form every second. And then there's foundation for attachment. So attachment is that bond that a baby will have, that deep, trusting, emotional bond that a baby will build with their caregiver. And these neural connections are the foundations for this attachment. Foundations for attachment also serve as the life manual for how the adults will live their life. So, for example, how a person who is an adult now, how they relate to people, how they trust people, their how they build relationships, how they handle their feelings. It all goes back to that foundation of attachment, how they built a strong, trusting bond between their caregivers when they were young. So that's what is happening between birth and 2 years. So all these things are happening. Language, vision, hearing, emotional security, all these things are growing very rapidly between 0 to 2. And how do we support this kind of growth between 0 to 2? We want a loving, responsive caregiving. And how do we do that? We talk to our babies, we sing to them, we touch them, we play with them, we make sure they are well fed, they're having good nutrition. We give them a safe environment where they can play, they can explore, they can learn through their experiences. And then we do something called co-regulation. I'll talk a little bit about co-regulation later on. So these are the kind of things that we can help to develop children who are between 0 to 2, their brain. So remember, rapid growth is occurring from 0 to 2. There's a lot of experiential learning, sensory play, and attachment is also happening. And this is forming the foundation. Then let's move to 3 to 5 years. So from 3 to 5 years, we realize that the brain networks have become more organized. The networks are, remember again, these are the connections I'm talking about. They become more organized. You realize that the language that started developing from 0 to 2 is now exploding. From around 18 months, the child may be using single words. By 2 years, 3 years, going to 5 years, they are using sentences, they are using complex sentences. Self-control begins to emerge. From 0 to 2, when they want something or they're upset, their feelings are on their shoulders. Everything is, on a high level. Not something small, they are crying, they are angry, they're on the floor. By the time they are 3 to 5, you don't expect them to be having that kind of tantrums where they can't get maybe a candy and so they are on the floor, crying mama. They are learning to control their emotions, to manage their emotions. So self-control is beginning. Their imagination and curiosity is also exploding. And so we talk about the fact that they start doing pretend play. In the 0 to 2, they may just be playing by themselves. They are happy to see other children. When they see the toy, depending on if they are 9 months, they may put it in their mouth. They may, bang it against something. They may throw it away. They may, roll it. But by 3, you can see that they are becoming more sophisticated in their play. They are pretending, they are imagining, they are seeing what is done around them and they want to do it. Their curiosity is beginning to flourish. How can we support this stage of brain development? It is play-based learning. 3 to 5, they are playing. We want them to play as much as possible. We want them to have conversations with you, the parents or the caregiver. Of course, the conversation should be at the level of their understanding when it comes to language, but talk to them, explain things to them because they are very curious around this age. They are asking a lot of questions. What is this? Why is this? What is this? And as parents, we are so busy. Sometimes we be like, oh, casa do do. But this is the time that they are absorbing things like a sponge. So we need to explain things to them. We need to have conversations with them. We need to build routines. If you We need to start reading to them, exposing them to books. We need to give them opportunities to explore. And then we need to coach them when it comes to their emotions. The co-regulation continues. Then let's move to 6 to 12. From 6 to 12, we talk about executive function strengthening. Children now begin to learn how to plan, pay attention, problem solve, remember things, regulate themselves. We've moved from co-regulation to self-regulation. So at 6 years when they are in class 1, way up to 12 years when they are in year 6, when they are upset, nobody is going to hold them and carry them and do, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. They learn how to regulate themselves, how to breathe, how to walk away, how to tell you their peace of mind, how to negotiate with their peers. That is, self-regulation. And during this period, we want teachers to be supportive. They are making friendships. They are getting challenges through their learning. They are being encouraged as they are learning. We want a lot of physical activity because the science tells us that movement is very important for executive function and for attention. So the more you move, the more those networks for attention gets better. So we want them to have good physical activity. It is recommended that they should have at least 1 hour of moderate to vigorous activity every day. And then 3 times a week, they should even have something that involves some kind of muscle strengthening. So climbing, picking up heavy objects, pushing objects, pulling things. All this is really important for their brain. So you want for them to be doing that. Physical activity is important. Adequate sleep and then opportunities to develop independence. All this is very important. Then the last part is the adolescence. So from 13 to 18 years. During this time, the brain is undergoing a major remodeling. So you can imagine that is why our teenagers are so special and they are so unique. There's a serious remodeling happening during the teenage period. So this period is also very, very important. This is the period there's they are going to set up whatever they need before they become adults at 18. So their emotional systems are high alert. However, their prefrontal cortex, which is the part of their brain that they use for rational thinking, emotion, decision making, planning, and things, is a little not a little, is way behind their emotional development. So they are very emotional, but they don't always have the what it takes to be able to make the rational decisions. And then their impulse control is also now developing. So at this time, because their emotions are high and they also want to experience life, their impulse control is very low. So they may make decisions that are poor. And impulse control continues to develop way into the mid 20s. Now they're saying 28, even up to 30 there. They are still, developing impulse control. During this time, they need trusted relationships and they need guidance rather than control. So during the teenage years, they really want to be accepted by their peers and they want to belong to a group and they want to be in a trusted relationship. So if you as the parent, you do not have a good, strong relationship with your teenager, they will find it somewhere else. And if you are unlucky and they find it in wrong places, then you've lost them. So it's really important for us to make trusted, bonds with our teenagers and guide them. They don't want to be controlled. They think they're adults now. And they are getting to the adult stage. They're learning to be independent. There's a whole sort of remodeling going on. Their hormones are raging. They cannot take you controlling them. If you control, they will explode. So we want to guide them rather than control them and give them those opportunities and give them the healthy boundaries. We can't let them just go free range too, because we know they don't have the executive functions to, do what they need to do. But we still need to guide them and give them some control. Okay. So let's talk about serve and return. Serve and return is the most is what happens in relationships between a caregiver, a parent, and a young child. And it's the most powerful brain builder. The relationships I'm talking about is the most powerful brain builder. So let's start with serving. So serve and return is the term is taken from playing tennis. You serve the ball and then somebody hits the ball back. That's the return. So think of your serving as you, the caregiver or the parent, reaching out to the child. So, for example, you smile at the child, you start talking to them, or they are crying, you reach out to comfort them, or you start playing with them. And usually, you, the caregiver, will notice a cue. This is very important that you don't intrude into the child's life, but they give you a small cue and then you serve. So you notice a small cue from the baby or from the toddler, and then you serve by a smile, talking, comforting, playing. And what happens when your child notices that this you have served, you have responded to that little cue they gave you, and you have served? That attention you give them releases some very good hormones in their brain or chemicals in their brain called dopamine, oxytocin, and other things. And this promotes bonding, but at the same time, it promotes attention and learning. So if you can see, I don't know if my pointer is working, but if you can see where my arrow is, you can see a little sort of light bulb under number one when you start serving. But once they give you the cue and you serve, and they notice that you have served and they return, then there's a whole, different lights that's open up in the brain. So you serve and the child returns. The child will, maybe you smile, the child will smile back. You started talking, the child doesn't know how to talk, but they will make a sound. You start maybe a 4-month-old baby. Oh, hi, baby. How are you doing? Then they'll start looking at you. They're like, they're just like, they are talking back to you. They are making sounds back to you. Or they'll reach out. They want to touch your face. They want to pull your hair. They're smiling at you. They want you to pick them. Or they are just looking at you. They are intrigued. What are you going to say? This is a serve and return. And you want to have as many serve and returns as possible. So the more serve and returns that you have, the more the brain is going to light up, the more connections are going to be made, and the more strong foundations you are building for your child. So every smile, every word, every hug, every moment, you are using that to build strong, powerful foundation for your child. Okay, so let's move on. Then you remember I talked about stress. Let's talk about stress. So stress, as I said, comes in different proportions and different types of stress. Okay. I hope you can see this thing properly. Different kinds of stress. So we cannot do away with stress in this world. We have positive stress, tolerable stress, and toxic stress. I'm talking about children, but this is also for adults. Okay. So examples of positive stress is the normal everyday challenges that help children to grow, learn, and build their confidence. So, for example, they are learning something new. Maybe they are learning to walk, or they are learning to read, they are learning to feed themselves. These are all, new things they are learning. They will feel challenged a little bit, but it is positive stress. They are starting a new school, or they are trying a new activity, or they are making new friends, depending on the age. These are all positive stress. What is happening inside the brain during positive stress? There's a slight increase in cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So it makes maybe their heart rate go a little bit higher. They may feel a little bit anxious. They may breathe more. But all this is so that more blood is being pumped into the brain and into the muscles so that they can do whatever activity they are prepared for. So even for adults, when you are going to do something, maybe you are going to present something to your boss, you are going to do a big presentation, you feel a little stress there and there, but it is good stress because that anxiety gives you what it takes to be able to, go and speak well. Same thing happens with the children. So that slight increase of cortisol helps that brain to make connections so that they can learn, they can adapt to their new situation, and the brain is strengthened. During that time, the body can just do the learning activity and then quickly return back to its normal stress level. They overcome the challenge and they are fine. Everything is cool. That is positive stress. When you have good amounts of positive stress in children's life, you see that it builds their confidence and it builds their coping skills and resilience. If they don't have any stress at all, then they are like babies all throughout their life. Every little thing, no, they'll melt down. Every little thing, they are on the floor, but they need some kind of positive stress to build their resilience. Then we have what we call the yellow part. This one is the tolerable stress. So this one is serious stress, but it's time limited. It is not going on forever. So example are serious events that are stressful, but as I said, they are time limited and there's support surrounding the child during that time. Examples are death of a loved one, when the child is ill or they've had an injury, or there's some kind of stress going on in the family, or there's a natural disaster like the flooding that we just had. During that time, what is happening in the brain? So this time, the body's stress response is activated. And just like it happened in the first time, it's activated, but this time it's activated for a longer period. And then because there are adults around to protect the child, the brain is protected. Even if the connections are weakened a little bit, once the protection comes in and the stress goes off, the connections can be rebuilt again and they can go back to the original one. So during this time, we want caregivers to be supporting, there should be caring adults around to help to heal the brain. So the outcome is that with support, children can recover and then build their strength and resilience. However, if this tolerable stress continues, Then we go into toxic stress. And toxic stress is examples are abuse. Maybe a child who is being physically abused, sexually abused, emotionally abused at home, and nobody is helping that child. Or a child who is totally neglected. They may have everything they need. They have their food, their water, somebody looking after them, but nobody is giving them that emotional bond. That is also neglect. Or domestic violence. Somebody is beating them seriously at home, or somebody is beating them seriously in school. Chronic poverty. Chronic poverty is also toxic stress. And then ongoing conflicts. Maybe father is beating mother, mother is beating father. Something is going on in the house and nothing is happening and it's going on for a long time. This is toxic stress. What happens with toxic stress is that the connections that you've already built, they weaken and sometimes they even get deleted. So that child cannot learn, they can get sick, they can start having behaviors. So for the teachers on the line, you can sometimes see a child who suddenly they're having behaviors in school. They've become stubborn, they are not listening to you, they are getting angry. Sometimes they may be going through toxic stress, something may be happening at home. And once the brain is under stress, they cannot learn. So the outcome of toxic stress is that there's increased risk of anxiety, depression, learning difficulties, and then poor health. So let's move on. Let's move on to emotional regulation. What is emotional regulation? What is emotional regulation? We are learning to control, manage our emotions. This is part of growing a healthy mind. And there are steps to emotional regulation. So, first of all, children need to be able to recognize what they are feeling. They need to recognize their emotions, no matter how small they are. We need to teach them. So, we say that for the kids who do not have language, when they are crying or they are angry, they are afraid, they are scared. Well, as you comfort them, you want to spell out what you think they are having. So, oh, you're so scared, or that noise really scared you, or you just had a shot and it was painful and you are so afraid of the hospital. You just want to mention, recognize the emotion and teach them, name the emotions. So for those of us who speak in our local languages and we do not even know what our emotions in our local languages mean. Recently, I was trying to do that and I realized that our local languages, the way we say our emotions are even more profound than the English words. And we may have to do a study on that later on. So something like, I'm feeling at peace. It means what? My heart has entered my stomach. Or I'm afraid. Um, Makumetu. It means that my heart has flown or my heart has run away. We'll do something later on. But think about the way we express our emotions, even in our local languages. It is important to name it. There's something called name it to tame it. So one of these infant mental health specialists, Dan Siegel, posits that when you name the emotion, it allows the thinking brain to cool down emotional alarms. So you see, when you're feeling something, you're feeling angry, you're feeling afraid, you're scared, the emotion is coming from your body. Your heart is beating, your stomach feels like it is dropping, or your face is flushed from anger. Your body is showing signals. Your brain has to interpret what your body is showing, the signals your body is showing, for us to say that, okay, my heart is beating. Is this one anger? Is it excitement? Is it anticipation? So when you mention it and you name it and you name it, the brain, your thinking brain can now then decide, okay, this one is anger, this one is anxiety, this is what we are supposed to do. And that's how it starts, naming it to tame it. Then of course we need to help them to express their feelings. I know in some homes children are not allowed to be angry. They are not allowed to express their feelings. But as for feelings, it's like boiling water. Once it's there, it has to come out. What we need to teach them is how do we express the feelings appropriately. And then once the feelings have come out, if we express it nicely, that's fine. If we didn't express it well, how do we recover from the setbacks and learn from it such that in the next time the feeling comes, we can express it again. So these are some of the steps that go through where we talk about emotion regulation. And I know some of our kids do not know how to regulate their emotions, either from their own individual temperaments or from the fact that they are neurodiverse or from the fact that they've not been taught how to manage their emotions. It's really important for us to teach them. In the beginning, when we are teaching them, there's something called co-regulation. Co-regulation means that you, the adult, you are sort of helping and modeling and teaching the child how to regulate their emotions. It doesn't come, out of the blue like that. It's not automatic. We have to teach. So let's learn a bit more about teaching our children co-regulation. So these are some of the things you can do to co-regulate your child and teach them how to regulate themselves. We do it very naturally for babies. So maybe from babies from 0 to 1, when they are crying, naturally, we just pick them up, bring them close, we sing to them, we rock them, we turn them around, we do shh, 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 or we do something to help them to calm down. However, when we have older children who are behaving like babies and they don't know how to regulate their emotions, sometimes we don't know what to do with them. But we are supposed to co-regulate them. It means that they didn't learn the co-regulation when they were younger, from the 0 to 2, and they are now 6 years and they still need co-regulation. So we have to help them. But if your child is 2 and you are listening to me, then or 1, then you know already that you should be doing co-regulation. So lower your body position. You can't co-regulate from the top where the child is down, you are up. They will not see what is happening on your face, in your body. So you have to come down to their same level. You have to lower your voice. If the child is shouting and screaming, that's not the time you will shout and scream, because if you start shouting and screaming, then the two of you will all, up-regulate. But you want to bring the child down. So if the child is high, then you have to come down so that you can pull the child down. You have to soften your facial expression. The child is mad. They are angry at you. This is not the time for you also to be angry at them, because then you can't bring them down. We model things like deep breathing. We tell them to take a walk, or we go for a walk outside. We go and jump a little bit. We do heavy work together. We go and offer deep pressure for the kids, especially who what their sensory needs are. Offer deep pressure. Model whatever sensory activity you can know that can help to calm them down. Move their body. Science has told us that movement is really good in managing emotions, even for us adults. You can imagine when you are really upset and you usually will start pacing, or you start doing something with your body, and doing something with your hands, or your body just starts vibrating. When your emotions are really bubbling up, you need to move. And it's the same for the children. You need to stop talking. When the children are, up in their emotions, talking will not do anything. There's no use saying, keep quiet or stop crying, otherwise you will see what I'll do to you. You better stop being angry. Talking is not going to do anything when they are up in their regulation. Rather, we want to move, we want to feel, we want to touch, we want to breathe, we want to do some of these things that will help. Okay, so I have about 15 people now. Nobody has been talking to me. I feel very what do you call it? I feel very alone here. So I want to hear from you people. Can you recognize any of your strategies on this slide? Is there any of these strategies that you already do for yourself, or you do for your child? Or are there some strategies that you use that is not here? Can you share with us? Can you put it in the chat box or can you say it out aloud?
So for those who would like to say it out aloud, please, you can just use the raise hand button and then you'd be asked to unmute. So we go on from there. However, the only thing currently in the chat box, Doc, is a question. I think when you're done, I can ask that question.
Okay. Any takers?
Okay, so Joanne says, stop talking.
Okay. So when your child is seeing red, this is not the time to be talking. Great. So you stop talking. So Joanne, when you stop talking, what do you do? You have to stop talking. That's agreed, but you have to do something.
Okay, Jessica Safo also says that I pray for patience.
I like that. So
That's a
praying
good
for patience, praying
one.
for patience means that you stop, like it's like you are giving yourself some time off. So
Mm-hmm.
you leave the area
Let's
and
see.
go and pray, maybe in your mind for patience. That's also good. Anything else? I think somebody has their hands raised.
Yes, that's Jochebed. Jochebed, you can unmute now, please.
Good evening. I think I'm enjoying the presentation so far, but it is not easy, oh dog.
I know.
So I have a 3-year-old girl who can talk than I don't know, but I have told her that these days when she misbehaves, I won't mind her. She won't be my friend, no, I won't mind her. So I think that is what I'm also using. Then later on, she'll come. Oh, Auntie Jokie, do you want to? Will you mind me again? Then sometimes if I want to pull her a little bit, I tell her, no, I'm still not in good terms with you, so I won't mind you. Then she'll do the right thing. Then she'll come. You'll be my friend, okay? Before I respond. It is not easy. It's not easy for us, but you look up with what you are bringing up.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Doc, someone shared something with me.
Uh-huh.
The person says, me, dear, I beat him, oh, simple.
So, so as we said, we want you to move, but beating is not part of the movement here.
Exactly.
We want we want you to move, but beating is not part of the movement. So today we'll teach you
Mm-hmm.
other strategies to co-regulate because we realize that beating doesn't help.
At all.
Okay.
So
So let's
Jennifer actually shared something. I think that's the last one that I would read. She says,
okay.
I tell my child to pause and breathe, temporarily remove him from the environment, and it really works.
Great. That's excellent. So the breathing, let me go back. Breathing was one of the things, model deep breathing. So sometimes, if you haven't taught them before, when they get there, sometimes they forget to breathe. And there are some kids who get upset. And I'm sure the pediatricians like Dr. Joan here will tell you about it. They get what we call breath holding spells. So some of the kids can be so upset that they forget to breathe and they hold their breath and pass out and have some small seizure. But you think they have convulsion. It's just anger that is they just said they've been angered, but they've stopped breathing and they've passed out. So you have to model the breathing to them. So they've held their breath and they've like obelix. Just say nibu. You see, that is where the name of the our local thing nibuefu. Just say the chest is rising.
Up and
Just say
down.
nibuefu. The chest is just swelling up like Gary. It means that they are angry. Then you tell them breathe. It has
Mhm.
gone in. It has to come out. You model the breathing for them. Okay.
So, Doc,
Uh-huh.
in order not to be biased, I don't want to forget listeners on our YouTube
Okay.
link. So
Okay.
some of them also shared something. Mary Awachi says that I usually lower my voice. Life with Coops says, I change the subject to something of interest to my child. Joshua says that I take a walk a little away from the environment. Jacinta says, I use facial expressions, especially rolling my eyes. And Dixon says that he's loving that slide. It's very useful. Thank you.
Great, great. So some are working, and shout out to those of you who are on YouTube. In fact, the next month we are going to change our style because those who took up the registration for the Zoom, half of them didn't turn up, and we could have let other people register.
Yeah.
So we
And
have to change.
I think I missed someone's own. Osua says that this is gentle parenting, pa 101. This works. This I think it's a question as to whether does it work for non-gentle kids?
So when we talk about gentle parenting, which will be another topic on its own, it's the gentle is not referring to the child, though, it's referring to the parents. It's not the child. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, it works for every child, but as you can imagine, there are so many different examples that has been given here. Maybe your child is not the breathing one; it doesn't work. That your child may need deep pressure, so you have to hold the child and squeeze them, or the child is the one that you have to give them heavy work. They should start pushing the dining hall table, or they should start punching some pillow in the room till the energy has come out, or they should go onto the trampoline and jump the anger out. It could be anything else, okay? Or they should go for a run. I have one client who has learned that when he's angry, it's a little boy, he needs to go for a run. So when the boo is fooling like that, he just says, "Excuse me," and he goes outside and he goes for a run, and he runs till the chest has come down, and then he comes back and then they have a conversation about it. Okay, so let's go on with the emotional regulation. So practical strategies for emotional regulation. So I like this picture a lot, and if you recognize the pictures, it's taken from some movie B. I'm trying to remember the name of the movie. My son watched this and was talking about emotions all throughout. I think it's called is it the emotion movie or something like that? Those of you who've seen it or your children have seen it. But they we color the emotions where red zone means that say we are seeing red, we are angry, it is full. Yellow means you are getting there. Yellow means get ready. It means that you can see the things coming. Green is where we want to be. Green zone means that we are happy, we are calm, we are focused, and we are ready to learn. So the teachers here, we want our children to be in the green zone. And the trick is that when they get to the yellow zone, there are some signs. If you can catch them in the yellow zone and do certain things, you can prevent them from going into the red zone. Remember, when we get to the red zone, the only thing you can do is give them a safe space to calm down, let them go and walk around. When you reach the red zone, there's no talking. You cannot reason with them anymore, including the adults. Maybe this is even for your spouses. When they get to red zone, this is not the time that you're going to reason and negotiate and talk. It is red. They are seeing red. It's like a bull seeing red. He can't see anything. He's not thinking. So as much as possible, we want to prevent them from getting to red zone where they're angry, they're mad, they're so scared, they're upset. During that time, some of them will yell, they will hit, they'll say mean things, especially the teenagers. That's when they'll say, "I hate you, I don't want to see you again." Some of my clients will say, "I wish you were dead." They lose all control. During that time, you do what we've said. Take in deep breaths, let them walk around, let them go to a calm corner, go to a safe space, because if they are throwing things, they are hitting, you have to protect yourself. Let them go to a safe space. Listen to some music or something to relax. So for the parents who says they beat the child, so you can imagine if you have a 16, 17-year-old who is gone into the red zone and you want to beat the child, and this child is taller and bigger than you, and it has happened. It has happened to some of my clients different times. You've beaten the child, now they've grown up, and now you are trying to beat them. They will beat you back and sit on you. If you are in America, then that one, now we have to go and call police. You are going to call social welfare. They are going to do all sorts of things. So let's learn how to co-regulate them so they can self-regulate before they reach the point where they can over us. Okay. So as I was saying, you don't want to get to the red zone. You want to stay in the green zone. But we are all human beings. All these emotions that we are talking about, they are very natural. They are not wrong in themselves. And as human beings, they are supposed to feel them. It's how you manage them that is the issue. For those of you who are Christians, Jesus went to the red zone. Remember, he got angry and he threw people out of his father's this thing, the temple. He took a whip and he made it into a whip and he whipped and lashed them. But it depends on how you are going to do it. Okay. Then the blue zone is something we don't take note of, and it's also very important. The blue zone, they are not explosive, but it is also very destructive to the child. That is when they are sad, they are scared, they are sick, they are tired, they are bored. When they're in the blue zone, they cannot learn. It's very important for the educators who are online to take note of this. When they are in the blue zone, they are crying, they are yawning, they are frowning, they are listless, they don't seem to be wanting to take part on anything, they are sluggish, they are moving slowly, they don't want to participate in class. So if I'm in the blue zone, it means that maybe I'm tired, I'm scared, I'm getting ill, I don't want to participate in class. Then teacher says that because you are not doing your work, I will beat you. Is that how we are supposed to respond to the blue zone? So the example says, in the blue zone, go for a walk, stretch, take a break, get fresh air, get re-energized so that you can get into the calm zone. Okay. Then before I move on, naming the emotions for it. This is for the adults here, and this is even not for the children. The naming emotion part is really important. Do you know why? Because sometimes your body is telling you are angry, but if you name it, you may realize that actually this is not anger that I'm feeling. Something that presents as anger may be rather anxiety or guilt or shame. Have you realized that some people that will present as they are angry, but if you think about what they are doing, rather they are ashamed of what they've done. Meanwhile, they are pretending like they are angry with you, or they are anxious about the situation. Have you seen a mother whose child was nearly hit by a car, and when they get the child, instead of this thing, they will rather beat the child? That why did you run into the streets out of anger? That is anxiety, it's not anger. So sometimes when you name the emotion, it tells you really what is hiding there, and then it gives you a better idea of how to tame that emotion or deal with that emotion. Okay, I'm seeing some messages. Are there more messages there? Or I can go on.
Sorry, I thought I had unmuted. So you can go on, but I think the movie titles were what was mentioned. One
Yes,
says
Inside
Inside
Out.
Out.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes, Inside Out. That's the movie. Okay, okay. All
So
right.
thank you to Adam and Joanne for giving us the titles.
Inside Out. Okay, let's talk about resilience. So, what helps our children become resilient? I mean, recently I was having some conversations, um, and it's quite a common conversations that a lot of the younger generation now, they are not resilient, and resilience is that ability to go through challenges and stress and come out victorious. That's resilience. You see, a lot of our young people, are not resilient. Something small, no, they crumble down. Something small, then they become anxious or they become depressed, then they become afraid. All sorts of things. Something small, no, they've broken down. How do we build resilience? Some of us are resilient, and resilience doesn't come naturally. You are built, it's like the things you go through. Remember, we talked about positive stress. So the kids who have not gone through any stress in their lives, they cannot be resilient, because resilience means that you pass through the meal and you come out victorious. That is what resilience. So if you haven't had any practice of any kind of stress, you cannot be resilient. And there are some of us who are training our children like that. They don't do anything. Everything is done for them. We feed them, we bath them. 10-year-old, we are still bathing them. We don't let them try anything. They don't do any house chore in the house because there are so many people there to do it for them. They don't, 16 years, they don't know how to wash their underwear. They don't know how to wash plates. I know some, older kids who, if you tell them to wash their plates, they are going to cry because why should they wash their plates? We have to think about resilience seriously because it is the end product. One day, we as adults will not be here. Will your child be able to survive? Because you know that protected environment you've had around your child, when you are there, it will not always be there. Depending on where they are working, where they go to school, if it's outside your purview, who is their boss, who their employee, whatever it is, they are going to have stress in this world unless they are in heaven. So we have to build and teach our children how to be resilient. So at the center of this picture I have here, which is called the resilience wheel, is the child. Okay, and we have different factors that can help a child to be resilient. These are safe relationships, positive school experiences, strong family support, opportunities for success, play, good sleep, physical activity, community belonging. These are different aspects of things that can interact to make our children resilient. So when the children have the support that they have in many areas, they can be healthy, resilient, and bounce back from challenges. So remember, challenges will always come. But if they have these supports already as a foundation, no matter the challenge, so far as it's not the toxic stress we talked about, if it's positive or tolerable, they can push through and become resilient. So I want to ask you, think about yourself now, your family, or your children, if you're an educator. Do they have all these factors in their resilience wheel? Do they have loving relationships? Do they have a safe and stable environment? Do they have a supportive educational environment? Do they have positive peer relationships? Do they have the opportunities to succeed? This especially for our neurodivergent children, where it's like wherever they are, it's like they think like they are delayed in everything. Do we as teachers give them that opportunities to succeed? Are we giving them things that they are also good at? That's where the strength-based teaching comes in. Because a child has a neurodiverse condition. They are struggling in everything in academics. Is there something they are good at that you can also let them do so that they succeed in it? What comes to mind is our children with dyslexia. They go to school, they are struggling to read. Reading is so universal in everything that is happening in school. So they are struggling everywhere. Maybe they are good at arts, maybe they are good at drama, they are good at music, they are good at sports. Can we let them do one of the things they are good at so that their friends will also see that, oh, apart from the fact that I'm struggling with my books, I'm also good at something. It's part of the resilience. Emotional well-being. Do they have good health and basic needs? Do they have family strength and support? Do they have community connections? These are all important factors that support resilience. Then let's talk about promoting positive mental health. So it's not only adults who need mental well-being. Children also are having mental health crisis, especially our teenagers. Post-COVID, we've had a really large increase in mental health conditions in both children and teenagers. But how can we promote positive mental health in our children? It is important that we are there to listen. We need to support them through whatever difficulties they are having. For me, the most important is that we need to stay involved in their lives. It's very, very important. If you are not there in their lives, somebody else will fill that void. And if you are unlucky and that somebody is not a good person, then you've had it. So stay involved in their life. Do not be an intrusive presence where you are forcing yourself there, but be that stable, reliable presence where they know that no matter what, even if they make a mistake and they go and do something, they can still come back to you and you will help them to sort it out. The consequences may still remain for them, but you will help them to sort it out so that it doesn't become worse. Let them know. Encourage their interests and build positive routines. So connection before correction. If there's a good, strong connection between you and your child, and I'm not saying you should be your child's friend, you are your child's parent, you are the child caregiver, but there's a good connection. Correction will go well. You won't have to beat the life out of the child to be able to correct them. Praise efforts, encourage independence, build confidence. Limit excessive screen time. This is not even for the young ones, even for the teenagers. Limit it. Encourage outdoor play or outdoor activities. Let the teenagers go out and do something. When they become teenagers, they just want to stay indoors and be on their phones all the time. Encourage them to do something. This is the time they should learn how to cook. They should learn how to bake. They should learn how to sew. They should go and volunteer in your office. They should go and help somebody somewhere on vacation. And then foster gratitude and hope. It's very important for us to foster that in our children. Okay, we are on some of the last slides now. Then circle of support. The circle of support is the stakeholders that surround the children. No one can raise a child by themselves. And we, from this part of the world, sub-Saharan Africa, we've had this idea for a very long time. However, with modernization and new things, we are sort of moving away from it, where a village raises a child. Nobody can do it by themselves. It's a collective, venture. And that child needs that circle of support. Apart from the parents, the teachers are involved, healthcare providers, therapists, extended family, community, faith organizations. That's for a child who has neurodiverse conditions. If your child doesn't have neurodiverse conditions, the parents are still involved, the teachers are involved, the extended family is involved, community is involved, faith organizations are involved. By all means, there are different people around who are involved with the child in the center. The important thing is that everyone who is involved needs to have the child's interest at heart. So let me ask a question. What is your weakest link? Think about your family. Think about your child. If you're a teacher, think about your child in school. What is the weakest link in your circle of support? Think about it or write it down. And which section do you think you need to strengthen? Is it your teacher link that is weak? Maybe your teacher doesn't understand your child. They're always sending the child out of the class. They're always reporting. They don't seem to understand your child the way your child learns. Or you, the parents, is it one of the parents who is the weakest link? Is it the extended family? Is it community? Is it the faith organizations? Some families don't go to church anymore because the church doesn't understand them. And so they are not going to church anymore. So this one, I don't need you to put this in the chat, but I want you to think about it. What is your weakest link in this support circle, the circle of support? And what can you do about it? Because you need to strengthen all the links. Okay. So partnering for success. So as I said, you cannot raise your child by yourself. You need to partner with all the stakeholders we talked about in that circle of support, including the child for success. And how do we partner? We want to do shared goals. Whatever goal you have for your child, all the other people have to know. So if you've decided that you are reducing screen at home, the people in the school also have to know. Otherwise, you reduce it at home, they'll go to school and then the screen will be there. Or they'll go to grandma's house and the screen will be there. So all the goals have to be shared with all stakeholders. Open communication. Talk to your school educators. Tell them why you want to reduce your screen. Tell them why you think that your child is having issues. Talk to them. Talk to your parents, that's the grandparents. Tell them why the doctor says that you should stop the screen time. Or tell your partner why your doctor says that beating your child is not helping. Open communication. Early identification is important. If there is an issue why your child is not developing typically, or there's something that is a challenge to the healthy brain development, we need to identify it early and deal with it. Consistent strategies across home and school. Whatever you are doing at home has to happen in school. Whatever you are doing in therapy has to happen at home and in school. Whatever is being done in school has to happen at home also. Respecting each family's strength and culture. So every family also has their culture. And so as stakeholders, we also need to respect the family culture. So we need to partner so that the child will be successful. So I'm almost at the end of my presentation. So we've talked a lot today. If you don't remember anything, this is our take-home message. Healthy brains are built through everyday experiences. Remember, experiences is very important. I mean, healthy brains and smart brains is not built through memorizing ABCD 1, 2, 3 or multiplication. It is built through healthy experiences, everyday experiences. Relationships are the foundation of learning and well-being. Relationships are the foundations of learning and well-being. So make an effort to work on the relationship you have with your wards and your children, with your students, with your pupils. If your pupils have a relationship with you, I promise you, they will learn. They will learn. They want to please you. They will learn. Emotional regulation develops through supportive adults. We talked about co-regulation, the coping skills and strategies. We talked about the red, the yellow, the green, the blue zones. We need to help our children to learn how to regulate their emotions and support them to do that. Resilience can be intentionally nurtured. You have to intentionally nurture resilience in your children. And the last thing is that every child benefits when the family, the school, and professionals work together. All stakeholders have to work together. All right, so these are my references. And then I wanted to share these books with you. These are books that are really, really insightful when it comes to developing a healthy brain, developing relationships with your children. So Parenting from the Inside Out by Daniel Siegel looks at how a deeper self-understanding of you, the adult, can help to raise your child to thrive. Then Mona de la Hook, Beyond Behaviors. This is a book that uses neuroscience or brain science and compassion to understand why children will have challenging behaviors. And then the Whole Brain Child, which is the most recent one that I've read. Very, 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 very good book, The Whole Brain Child. It talks about strategies that can nurture a child's developing brain. It's also by Siegel, Daniel Siegel. So I'm sure those of you on Audible, all three books are on Audible. If you can read it, listen to it, or if you can get it online to read the soft book. All right. So it's now time for questions and discussions. I'll stop sharing my slide now so that I can see you guys properly.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc. Thanks a lot. Now, I think I saw a question in the chat box about dream. One of our listeners was asking about dream, and please let me read it out. She says, "What is dream from a 3-year-old?"
What is what?
Dream.
Hey, which of my slides talked about dream?
I don't know whether it has to do with a question you asked earlier, or it's okay. Jochebed is going to explain. Jochebed, please go ahead.
Um, I I put up that question when Doc was talking about children asking a whole lot of questions.
Ah.
Somebody asked you about dream.
Yes, we read the story. We read the story, and
Uh-huh,
I, a new word we found was dream. Then
uh-huh.
the next question that came up was, what is dream? And I think that I laughed.
But you have mentioned dream in the story, and this
Yes,
3-year-old doesn't understand dream. Shouldn't she ask what is dream?
it, it was right for. Unfortunately, when we started the program, she was asleep. Immediately, she heard Ida's voice asking about what he's doing, and she's pointing the book to me that it is in the book. Thank you very much, Doc.
So, the kids who ask questions like that, they are the very intelligent children. And if you know you have a child like that, instead, what you need to do is that be ready that there are some questions you cannot answer.
Mhm.
Just know that there are some questions you cannot answer, and it is not a sin. You don't know everything. These days, every question my son asks me, I'll say, I don't know. Let's go and check Google, or let's go and check AI. Then the last time he said, but I thought parents know everything. I said, no. When you are 2 years, 1 year, we know everything. By the time you reach this age, we don't know everything.
Mhm.
So be ready to Google. It's better to research with them and find the answer together, because by all means, you'll be able to explain the Google better to them than they just reading it for themselves. So allow the children to explore and ask their questions. Let them ask a lot of questions. I know some schools that they have even, red carded some children because they ask too many questions in the class. Everything question, and they disrupt the class. But find a way for those children to answer the question. If you don't know how to answer, say, I think this one, let's go and research together. And then tomorrow we'll come and answer.
Mhm.
So let the children answer the questions. It's very important. Let them ask the questions. It's very important. Okay.
Okay, so one message I just received is that in that person's home, mothers know everything.
I
So
see.
mothers are supposed to be superheroes.
I know, right?
And should know everything, know it all.
Mhm.
Okay, so then, as mentioned, it is good to let them know that we don't know it all. And by research, and it's also a skill you are teaching them. As they also grow in school, they are taught to research, look for things on their own, do this, do that. So that's one way of helping them learn how to learn as they progress. Thank you so much, Jochebed, for sharing that also. And please, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, either on the Zoom or on our YouTube, please you can type it in. If you'd want to share something you've learned from this one, also the presentation, you have the right to go ahead. I know some people are also sending me personal messages on my phone, so I will read those ones also out. Okay, then as you type or think about what you would want to share with us, I'd just like to remind you that this is actually something that we do every month. So it's on the fourth Sunday of every month. We have our Parent Professional Connect, where we tend to bring in the professional who would help us understand the particular topic we are discussing for a month. And this month it was about the brain. And that's how come our neurodevelopmental pediatrician, Dr. Marilyn Marbell-Wilson, is here to help us understand. And it's a free consultation, as I always say. For 2 good hours, you tend to have her, you tend to have any other professional we bring. So you ask your questions. Please bear in mind that so this month is about the brain. Next month, we would also be having something in terms of the eye. So yes, we are told to check our eyesight at least once or twice in a year. If you have any questions whatsoever concerning the eye, please make sure you are a part of it. And for now, what we do with our Parent Professional Connect is that we have a pre-registration. And this pre-registration is to help us get to share information with you when the need arises on anything that we are coming up with or we will be working towards. So please bear in mind that when we share the flyer for a month, do register and we would send you reminders as to the time it is happening. And if you're unable to join our Zoom, just as some people registered, but yes, we are human, so we may forget and we may not be able to turn up. We always have our YouTube channel open. It is always available. So please, you can join us there also so we get to learn more. Someone has just sent something. So she's asking, how do we manage kids with anger issues? How do we manage kids with anger issues? I think she's watching on YouTube.
So we talked about co-regulation. So children with anger issues, it means that they haven't learned how to co-regulate. Okay. So we need to first start with recognizing, is this anger? Are we actually sure this is anger? Or is it something else? Is it a sensory overload? Are they overwhelmed? Is it that they do not have the how do you say it? The communication skills to be able to, you know, voice out their feelings and so they get frustrated. Is something happening to them at home or in school? Are they in toxic stress? We need to figure out why. So we can't manage all anger issues the same. So first we need to find out the trigger. If it is an issue that they just don't know how to regulate themselves, then we have to go back to co-regulation, where you model and teach them how to regulate their issues. So as I said, we can't say they shouldn't get angry. Even Jesus got angry. So every human being is allowed to get angry. But when you get angry, what do you do? So co-regulate and teach them, when I get angry, this is what I can do. I can stomp my feet on the ground, or I can walk off and stomp away. I can go and run circles in the yard before I come. I can go into my room and scream, "Yeah," and fist my thing in the air. I can go into a safe space in my room and cool down before I come. Just decide as a this thing, a family. What do I do? But these things you teach and you decide before they get into the red zone. So as I said, once they get to the red zone, it's automatic. It's just pure energy, pure biology that is coming. But if you've taught these things already, and if you are watching out to catch them in the yellow zone, then you can redirect them to what they can do. Or if they've learned it themselves, once they get to even the red zone, they can easily go through the routines that you've taught them. If the anger issues are getting into disorders, then you need a therapist to help them. You need to see a child psychologist to get to the bottom of why they are having anger management issues. A lot of the time, too, you may have to look inside and see whether any adult in that house has anger issues. So, why is it okay for daddy to yell when he's angry, but the child shouldn't yell when they're angry? Or why is it okay for daddy to hit me when he's upset with me? I can't hit daddy when I'm upset, or I can't hit my little brother when I'm upset. So you can have some children who are being spanked at home when they are naughty or they misbehave. And then when they are angry, they'll go and hit their little brother, even if the little brother hasn't done anything, because you have taught them that adults can hit younger ones. So if he's also older, older, he will hit, or they'll target it to their mothers because the mothers are the softer ones. So watch out what you are modeling to the child. When you're angry, what do you do? And teach the child to do the same.
Okay, so there's an addition to that just came in, and she says that he shuts the door and stays indoor for some time.
That's excellent. That is beautiful management. He is managing his issue. What he is angry. It's allowed. Every human being can get angry. He's shutting the door because he doesn't want to get his meltdown and pour his volcano lava on top of you people. So he goes into his room, shuts the door, calms down before he comes out. So the step further you can then add is that when he calms down and he's now in green zone, talk about what happened, what led to the anger, what was the trigger. Can we figure out what his signs and symptoms are when he's in the yellow zone? Can you then do definite problem solving about the trigger so that they don't keep happening? But it's allowed to just bang the door and go into your room and be angry. It's very okay.
So sometimes
unless you spoil the door. If you spoil the door, then that one you will work and pay for us to fix the door. It shouldn't be so loud that you spoil the door, but otherwise it's okay.
we sometimes tend to forget that kids also have emotions. So that's one thing we need to bear in mind. Thank you, Doc, for that. And yes, thank you, Magdalene, for finding another way to join, although you registered on the Zoom. Thank you for being a part of it today. That's what we want. We want you to be able to listen to it. So please, whichever option you use to join, that's all we need. We need you to hear it and share it with others. So as the link has been shared with you, as you've gotten something, you've understood something, please help us help others also get to learn by sharing it with them, so they also get to hear about it, get to understand and learn from that. Okay, so someone also says that she prevents her kids from locking themselves out because she fears that they may hurt themselves. Like when the kids lock themselves up in the room, they may hurt themselves. So that's the fear of that parent.
So I guess as a family, you can decide. Maybe they've done it, but have they hurt themselves before? Where's this fear coming from? Have they tried to hurt themselves before? So if it's a legitimate fear that you think they'll hurt themselves, then you can agree that they can go into the room and shut the door, but they are not supposed to lock the door. So if you don't want locked doors in your room, then take the keys away so they don't have access to the locked room. But they allow the privacy of walking away to sort themselves out.
Okay, so there has never been a follow-up to it is that there hasn't been any incident.
So why are you afraid that they are going to hurt themselves?
I think she's been watching too many movies.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, parents have intuition. So if you really think it may happen, then agree with the child that yes, it's okay for you to go into your room and sort yourself out, but I don't want it locked for safety reasons. and promise them that you will not barge into the room when they are sorting themselves out whilst they close the room. You see, because maybe you've tried to go there and talk to them whilst they are angry, and they don't want that. Because as we said, no talking when we are seeing red. So they'll prefer to lock the door than for you to come and start talking when they are in red zone. So you may have to discuss, especially if they are teenagers, and decide that, okay, you can go into your room, don't lock it. I promise not to come in till you come out, and then we can talk it out. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So there's a question here that's coming from Joanne. She says, how do you deal with a child who talks back angrily at you? You may not want to spank the child or yell back at them, but you need to teach them respect. Anna,
Yes,
I
yes,
like the
it's
Anna
true.
part.
It's true. Yes, so that is where we set boundaries. Okay. So you can tell the child that I don't like the way you're talking to me, or you're being rude, and I'm not going to listen. And you walk away.
Mm.
And you walk away and say that when you calm down and you're ready to talk to me respectfully, come back and talk to me. Okay, because if they are talking angrily, it means that they haven't learned how to manage their emotions. Okay, and if
Mhm.
you are also going to now talk angrily back at them, it means that all of you are rising. The two chests are rising, and then you will explode.
Mhm.
So set your boundaries. And Joanne, the book I mentioned, Parenting from the Inside Out, that's a very good one for you to read. You need to set your boundaries. So boundaries are dependent on you. So when you set boundaries, you have control of the boundaries. So
Mm.
don't set boundaries that are dependent on the child. The
Mhm.
boundaries are your boundaries. So if your boundary is that I don't want you to talk to me angrily, my boundary is that when you start talking angrily, you need to leave and
Yeah.
sort yourself out. When you are ready to talk back respectfully, you come back and we talk, or I leave.
Mm.
But the control is with me. So set your boundaries. Okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Sometimes you are perceiving the talk as anger. But is it possible the person is raising their voice because their emotions are bubbling? You have labeled it as anger because you grew up knowing in Ghana that we don't talk back to our parents, we don't raise voices at our parents. I mean, when we were young, we cannot be angry at our parents. If you are angry, you go into your room and you talk inside your body till it's done.
No one needs to
That
hear, else you are dead.
nobody needs to hear you. You just swallow the anger and the hurt inside you. However,
Mhm.
the children we have now, they can't swallow the anger.
At all.
So maybe she's talking, but is it anger, or is it just a high emotional rate? So you have to maybe later on talk to her and say that, okay, so when you're talking fast, or you're raising your voice, I perceive it as anger, or I perceive it as disrespectful. And this is when she's in the green zone. And decide. If she says that, yes, when I do that, it means I'm angry and I'm trying to be rude, then you set your boundaries. I also don't want you to be rude to me. So if you are in this state, I'm not going to listen. I will take
Mm.
myself away. When you're ready, we can talk.
Mm.
But she says that no. And that has happened to me before. When I'm talking to my husband and I'm very emotional, excited, I start raising my voice. Not because I'm angry. It's just, Charlie, I'm a guy. We do this. You understand? It's not because I'm angry. When we are excited and, charged, energy charged, our voices go up. But maybe it's not anger. Let me end here.
So let's find out what exactly it is, because
Yeah.
sometimes talking out of emotions also may look like one is angry, but it may not be the case. So please
Yeah.
find out from them. And that's why we need to talk to them, get to understand them. It may not take one sitting to get that. You may need to do it repeatedly. So please take your time. It will take time. So just take your time and let's do it small, small. We'll get there. And so one parent says that parenting is hard.
It
And
is
the way
not
they
easy.
hard, keep stressing like that. It's true. It isn't easy at
It's
all.
not
But
easy.
small, we'll get there.
But you are doing well. All the
Yeah.
parents out there, you are doing very well. There's something called good enough parenting. It means that seriously, you don't need to get it right all the time. In fact, you don't even need to get it right 50% of the time.
Yeah.
What you need is the fact that every time you are doing your best
Mm-hmm.
and the best that you have at the moment. And every time you learn something, you add it to your arsenal and you continue to do your best. Nobody can blame you if you are working at what you have and what you know. However, if you learn something, you need to add it to your arsenal. Okay. All right.
Okay. And you're welcome, Joanne, and thank you for appreciating us also. Genevieve also says, thank you, Doc. Today's topic was very clear and insightful. It's given her a lot to think about. I really appreciate your time and effort. Thank you
You're
all
very
again.
welcome. You're welcome.
And Vera also says it's very educative. She mentioned that on our YouTube link or on a YouTube channel. So this is what we aim to do always. Every fourth Sunday of the month, we do get a topic and we share with you. The objective is to educate, help you get to learn how to work with not just the kids, but yourself. And because we've been accused of not focusing on the parents. Yes, we used to do that. So now we are altering things. We are making sure that you at least know how to work with yourself and then you also know how to work with a child. Because if you are not okay, how do we work with our kids also? So thank you for being a part of today's program. On our YouTube channel, Life with Coop says, thanks, Doc. Manta says that he or she is thankful for this and would like to know your thoughts on caregivers who did not have quite an emotionally stable upbringing, but in adulthood think they are stable until they have challenging kids. Mm,
So this the parenting inside out is for that caregiver. So you see, you give out what you have.
mhm,
You give out what you have. And
mhm.
so if for some reason your childhood was challenging and you yourself do not have an emotionally healthy, foundation, when push comes to shove, what is there will come out. That's
Yeah,
what happens. So it's usually when you have children that you start realizing some of the things that are hidden deep inside you, things that you do not understand, things that are affecting your relationships that you didn't understand. That next, in fact, we'll talk about this one of these days. They are called ghosts in the nurseries. We have ghosts and angels in the nursery. So the things that you remember I talked about brain architecture. I
yeah,
talked about that the experiences we have in that 0 to 3, 0 to 2, it forms the foundation. So imagine yourself as an adult. You've had negative experiences. So even your brain architecture has been formed, and it's been formed on those negative experiences. And so that is your perception, and that is how you are also going about life. When you have children, what you have experienced for no fault of yours is what you will now start giving out.
yeah,
So it is up to us to become aware of our challenges and our own emotions and the way we react. And if you become aware and you self-reflect and you realize that, in fact, sometimes I get angry for no reason, or I get angry for this particular thing that, I mean, rationally I shouldn't, then start thinking about it. Sometimes you may need help for somebody to to open your eyes, for you to realize that this is the reason, for you to sort yourself out before you can also be well to sort your children out.
Exactly. And I think that is one of the reasons why a commenter on YouTube, Life with Coop, says that everyone needs therapy at some point in their lives. Kids bring out the child in you as well. That, I'm sorry, hold on. Kids bring out the child in you as that didn't heal. Okay, so I'm thinking the person is saying that the kids are able to bring out the children in us, all the things in us that have not been dealt with. So
Exactly.
they help us bring out our issues. As
Yes.
such, we definitely need therapy. Yes, everybody needs therapy at one point in time because we all can't manage life like that. We are humans, we are imperfect, so it would come. Magdalene also
Sorry, sometimes it's not even therapy. You just need somebody to talk to, somebody to sound
mm-hmm,
off
mm-hmm,
your thoughts to. And
mm-hmm,
sometimes it's not and it's actually that's what therapy is. It's a neutral person who is sitting there, who is a sounding board, who is sort of directing you as to how to what to think about some of these things. So sometimes something will come up, something that is an emotion that you don't understand, but you may need to talk to somebody about it, bring it to the fore. You remember what I said, name it, tame it. You have to say it or write it or discuss it to disarm its power over you
mm,
before it
ex-
loses its hold over you. Yeah.
and Magdalene says that she's so grateful for the opportunity to learn today. The session has been very educative. Thank you. So thank you too, Magdalene. And please share it with others so that they can also get to learn from it. That is why it is on our YouTube channel. So you can access it at any point in time. We'll take the refresher course. We'll help ourselves. Nelly says that thank you, Dr. Marilyn. Good topic for all parents. Parenting is not easy. Oh. All teenagers need to hear this before they bring children into the world.
They will hear it from you and me. They have to hear it from you and me because we will say it properly. If they go and hear it from somewhere else, what they'll hear it won't be a good one.
Mm-mm, at all. And that's not the one we want. So yes, let's help others get to learn also. The link, as I have earlier mentioned, has already been shared on our community, our WhatsApp community page, and you can also share with someone, or you can just go on to Parent Professional Connect on YouTube. Please just type that. Get to have the needed information that is there. Aside this webinar, we've had other webinars also, several. Please watch them. Pick a thing or two, share it with somebody. Let someone also learn something from it. Wow, all too soon. It's almost 2 hours. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for making the time to join us today. We appreciate you. And thank you, Jessica, for she says thank you, Doc. Not easy, but we'll try. Thank you for trying. That's all that we want from you. We want you to put in that effort because that's what we all need to do. The little you do, you wouldn't know how far it will go, but then it will definitely have an impact on someone. So please, let's take whatever thing we've gathered from here today to help someone and help ourselves also. We are grateful that you made the time, you joined us. We appreciate you for being here. Taking 2 hours of your time today to join us is no joke, but you made it. So we appreciate that. If you have any comments, questions whatsoever, please let us know. You can reach out to Mission Pediatrics on our Facebook, our YouTube channel, or you can even go online, search for missionclinicgh.com. That is our website, and you'd have everything in there. So now that we are done, I mentioned earlier that next month, on the fourth Sunday of next month, we would be having something about the eye. So, as you know, Mission Pediatrics, we are multifaceted. So we have different departments, different things that we do. Mission Health Specialist is also there. It caters to the adults and all that. If you need support in any way, if this is your first time of seeing us or hearing from us, I would share our contacts so you can call or WhatsApp our numbers, and then you can get the support that you need. So the front desk number is 024 724 1447. I'll take that again. 024 724 1447. And the alternative number is a telecell. That's 020 329 5292. Let me take that again. 020 329 5292. So you can reach out to us on these numbers. Let us know what exactly you need our help with. Whatever it is that we can help you out with, we would make sure we help you out. Thank
Ida,
you. Yes,
let me
Doc.
add this for the questions that I'm coming. I suspect a lot of adults may need to talk to somebody to figure out their ghosts in the
Yes.
nursery. So I'm putting the mission specialist
Specialist
psychology number. That's for
Yes.
the adults.
Let me mention that also, please. So,
Okay.
our specialist number that has to do with the mission specialist. If you need more of the psychological support, the number is 050 475 9777. I'll take that again. 050 475 9777. So that is for the mission health specialist, the psychology. It's a direct number to them. Please, you can WhatsApp, and then you will be given the support that you need, or you can also call. We are available for any help that you may need. Thank you all for making the time to join us today, and please, we hope to see you next month, the fourth Sunday of next month. Do make a
For
date.
Inua.
No, for the eye, please.
Okay.
Come join us, and then you learn something more.
Okay.
Have a good evening and enjoy your week, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye.